Welcome to Advocates for Justice Paralegal Service YouTube channel. My name is Guy Neighbors, and I'm the Director of Advocates for Justice Paralegal Service. Today, we're going to discuss my business goals, conventional foreclosure defense strategies. We're going to talk about what makes my paralegal service different. Where to find tools that you need to do what needs to be done. What strategies offer the best value? We're going to talk about the income issue, YouTube partnership program, and tips. We're going to talk about tips. Every video that we make, we're going to have at least one or two tips that homeowners can use that are in the process of preparing their own documents for their foreclosure defense. But before we get into all that, I want to take a minute to ask you guys to subscribe to my channel, like, and share so others will know that we have affordable options now. So I started my business, my paralegal service, after being harassed by the local and federal government for complaining about blogging and about police harassing a family member. I have never accepted a plea deal or been convicted of any crimes. So I just want to get that on the table right up front, okay? I refuse to follow the judge's orders to stop blogging and complaining and demanding a full investigation into the federal prosecutor Tara D. Moorhead's office in Kansas City, Kansas. And the judge was a little grumpy about me not doing what he told me to do. And they arrested me and charged me with contempt of court and hauled me off to a federal holding facility in Leavenworth, Kansas. Okay, after 6 months in prison, I was offered a deal to go free, but I had to lie on a family member the family member that I was blogging about. They wanted me to lie to get out, which was ridiculous because the whole reason I was blogging is because I didn't agree with what they were doing to the family member. I guess they figured once they had me locked up and had me beat down, that I would, like, I don't know, give up or something, but that's not what happened. So when I refused to cooperate, my attorney told the court that I was mentally ill. I was incompetent to assist her with my defense. And I was unlawfully held and shipped all over the United States for forced medication or for mental evaluations. And I was sent to 4 different states. And I was sent to Bundy, North Carolina, where a doctor for hire said I was delusional. And then I was shipped back to Kansas for a hearing. Okay, in that hearing, the federal prosecutors convinced the judge that I needed to be returned to the federal medical facility to be forced medicated. The judge agreed and ordered me sent back to Bundy, North Carolina Federal Medical Facility with a forced medication order. Okay, I'm a pretty big dude, so I didn't have any problem being locked. You know, I wasn't too scared of being locked up in jail or whatever. You know, 6'7", 250 pounds. You know, but the forced medication order, that was scary because I'd already been to Bundy, North Carolina, and I seen firsthand what happens to people when they start taking that medication for mental illness. Man, it's really bad. So yeah, I was pretty scared. I appealed the forced medication order from the medical facility, and I had to fire my appeal attorney because he was not trying to help me get home. I appealed the forced medication order myself, and I won my appeal, which blocked the forced medication order. I was like, yay! The federal prosecutor and the attorney who threw me on the bus were really grumpy. So they left me sitting in the federal medical facility for 6 additional months after the appeal judge ordered them to send me back and complete the cell hearing. The cell hearing is a hearing that the type of hearing that they're supposed to have to make a determination if they think that you're mentally ill. And you know, the funny thing about the cell hearing is the cell hearing is actually named after this one guy. And I found out later after I got out that in a cell hearing, you have the same rights as you have in a regular hearing. You have the right to call witnesses. You have the right to question. You have a right to do all of those things. But my attorney didn't explain any of that stuff to me. And as a matter of fact, they didn't really like letting me talk because they didn't like what I had to say most of the time. While I was going through this ordeal, the federal prosecutor filed an illegal less pendants against my property, and it blocked my family from selling the property. By the time I made it back home, my property had already been sold in a foreclosure auction. And this is when I started my journey to learn everything about mortgage fraud and other crimes. Actually, the journey started while I was locked up. I lived in a law library pretty much every day that I could. And I met people and talked to people. I took notes, and it was really interesting. There were private bankers there, and they talked about different things about foreclosures and stuff. And I knew that my property was going to probably be in foreclosure, so I started taking notes about what they were telling me. And boy, when I got released, I found out that all of the things that they said were absolutely true. But by the time I made it back, like I said, my home was already sold. And this is when I started figuring a few more things out. I didn't learn fast enough to save my property, but I was treated disrespectfully in foreclosure court. Actually, in all of the courts that I was in, I was treated like crap, obviously. And that is the motivation for what I'm doing now. Okay. When I won my appeal, okay, and I was ruled mentally incompetent, I realized I had a special skill. And I have been studying to perfect it ever since. Attorneys are mandated to use the same forms and strategies. They're not allowed to come out with different foreclosure defense strategies. The conventional foreclosure defense strategies offers only 3 options: loan modification, short sale, and bankruptcy. And in most cases, none of those options help end up with the homeowners, which you stand in your home, okay? The loan modification nowadays is being used to disqualify homeowners, okay? Once you expose yourself and they find out that you have more debt going out than income coming in, okay, all of a sudden they don't want to work with you no more. They don't take your phone calls. They tell you that they need this paperwork over again. They didn't get the last stuff that you sent them. It's really sad what they do. Basically, in my opinion, especially for the non-judicial foreclosures, what they do is they run you out of time. They run you out of time with all this BS back and forth, and then you don't have time to defend your house because you used up all that time that you should have been doing something, trying to convince them to provide you with a loan modification. Okay, the short sale speaks for itself, okay? The short sale is not going to let you end up in your home. As a matter of fact, they give your house away. That's what they do in the short sale. That's my opinion. And the attorneys don't tell people when they're promoting the short sale, trying to get you to sign that paperwork. What they don't tell you is that about half of the states have a deficiency judgment. And that deficiency judgment means they can come after you after they get done giving your property away. They can come after you for the difference that you owe. They don't tell people about that. The conventional foreclosure defense strategy is not working. It does not work for people. We have come up with another program. We call it the non-conventional program. This program is different than what attorneys do. We do things totally different than what attorneys do. And it's really hard for some people to understand because when they come into the program, they're so used to all the way attorneys do things. To be in my program, you have to see things totally different. And part of the reason for that is that nothing is as it seems or as it's supposed to be. People don't realize that these options that are used in the conventional program were crafted by the very people that are filing the foreclosures against your property. Helping families face foreclosure is how I manage my anger from, for what I was forced to go through. 33 months. Okay, that's a long time to be away from home. I have 65 five-star Google reviews and 1 bad review from a person who did not follow the program. As a matter of fact, this person lied to me and told me that they had fired the attorney, when in fact the attorney, the person was trying to use my program and the attorney, and he didn't realize that what happens when you have an attorney is the attorney's in charge of everything. So the attorney removed everything that this person filed in his case. And then he was just grumpy because he didn't realize that the attorney had removed everything, and he thought my documents didn't work for him or whatever. And so that's pretty much that. I have all the other 5-star reviews pretty much speak for itself. I have been through what homeowners are facing. Bar members were very disrespectful to me in court, and they worked hard to steal my hope. That's pretty much what they do in court. When you go to court, most of it, even for me now, when I go to court, I leave out of there feeling like I got hosed, got like my butt kicked. But I never really make a determination on that until the next day, after I played back and forth in my head how things went and stuff. Once you do that, you realize in most cases you did pretty good. You did pretty good in court, even though you thought you sound stupid. They were making you sound stupid and acting like they don't know what you're talking about. You did good, and I'll tell you why I'm saying this, okay? When you can go into their court and walk out without losing anything, you're doing good. It's plain and simple. That's the way I look at it. Statistics show 80% of Americans cannot afford to hire an attorney. And I think the same percentage of Americans do not trust attorneys. My goal is to provide an affordable legal service for the 80% of Americans who otherwise would have no option to defend their property in foreclosure. Advocates for Justice will be the first legal service to challenge the monopoly bar members have on the legal industry. Let me tell you what makes my paralegal service different. We provide you with the tools and strategies you need to get your foreclosure lawsuit filed in federal court. I provide support to make sure you understand the documents and strategies for using them. Okay. What we ask you to do is, once you get the package, download it. We want you to copy and paste the entire document on another Word and save the original one without any changes to it. Okay. And then you go through and personalize the document. Actually, we want you to read it a couple of times and highlighting areas that you don't understand. And then you can go to the website and schedule a support session. And then we'll get on the phone and go over the areas that you don't understand to make sure you understand the document and the strategies for using it. We also have a foreclosure rescue Facebook page. It's a closed group, and there are many members in that group that are using our document packages and our lawsuit packages, and that group acts as support because there are a lot of people in the group that are very smart and have an idea of what's going on. Most people know something ain't right, and they're able to start researching and doing things, especially after reading the lawsuit documents and seeing what's in that document. It gives you an idea where to start your studying and research at, so that you can make sure that you can keep up. We have members in the group from all different states comparing notes and strategies. I provide support to make sure that when you're providing those strategies that they're sound and they work and they're going to work well for you. You have support from the foreclosure rescue group. We have members from different states comparing notes and strategies. This allows us to adjust the lawsuit package, the document, the lawsuit. We're able to change things in it so that these attorneys can't use the same defense. We're going to get that door closed and then screw it shut. That's kind of what we like to do. And that's making our lawsuit package a lot stronger. The only drawback to that is that Sometimes I have to make updates. Like one week I made 3 updates to the non-judicial foreclosure package. And so the stress of that is the people that was actually preparing the document and trying to, so they could hurry up and get it filed, had to keep changing it a few times. But, you know, most people understand that we're trying to put you in the best position to make them stand down. Our goal is to help you take control of the foreclosure situation by filing your wrongful foreclosure lawsuit in federal court to create your title dispute. That title dispute is very, very important, because that title dispute will block the eviction process. Because the eviction is done, the eviction court does not have jurisdiction to hear a title dispute. Eviction court can only make a determination on immediate possession. And this is one of the areas that people don't know, that we don't know, okay? By the time you get to the eviction process, things start moving really, really fast, okay? You get into court, in eviction court, and most of us go into eviction court, and it seems to make sense that we would argue the fact that we actually own the property, and which means there's a title dispute. Well, I think what should happen is once that comes out, it should be sent to a court that could actually make a determination on a title dispute. Or maybe that's where it should be in the first place, but that's not the case. So what happens is, as soon as we come up and say, okay, we own the property, here's all the paperwork to show there's a title dispute, the judge doesn't want to hear it. They slam the hammer down and you're done. And now you have 3 days to get off of your property. And if you're not off your property in 3 days, they send the police out to help you with that. It's really important. We had to figure out a way to create the title dispute in the beginning, because what the courts were doing was stalling the process of the lawsuit, was stalling it to give the state court opportunity to perfect the eviction process and get the people kicked off the property, because they know once you're kicked out of the house, you're going to have other problems and you're not going to be able to do the fighting like you would be able to do if you're still in your house. So that's a very important thing. Once we figured out that the eviction court only had jurisdiction to hear immediate possession, creating that title dispute runs that whole thing. And our package has, our non-judicial lawsuit package, I think, has 9 documents in it. And a couple of those documents address this title dispute issue. There's one document that challenged eviction court. And then there's another document to move the eviction case over to federal court to be connected with the title dispute, which is where it should be. And once we get it connected with the title dispute, then we move federal court to make the immediate possession process a moot issue until the title dispute can be settled. Because here's the deal. The title dispute can't be determined until immediate possession, can't be determined until the title dispute has been settled. So the process that we set up in the beginning when you file the lawsuit, it has provisions to block the eviction process, even though you're not even into the eviction process yet. So most people ask me, well, how much time do I have and how does this work? Well, the way it works is once the property is sold, okay, there's usually 3 or 4 weeks before they get the process. They have to, in a non-judicial foreclosure, okay, the whole thing is done outside of court until they get to the eviction process. The eviction process is done in court, but it's the wrong court. So when you're served an unlawful detainer or something of that effect, which starts the eviction process, you have about 2 weeks. Because once you go to that hearing, if you don't have everything in place, you're going to be in trouble. Because the hearing for these evictions lasts like 5 minutes or less sometimes. Because most of the time, people don't realize that you have to have a title dispute. It's the only way you can get out of eviction court with your butt intact. If you don't have the title dispute already on the record, then you're going to be done. And you're going to be fighting your foreclosure, your lawsuit that you filed after they throw you out of the house. So that's really important to create that title dispute. In our quest to figure out what strategy has the best value for homeowners. And I say this because this has caused me to change my business model several times. Okay. When I first started this, I took the Clients on Demand program, and I learned how to have a high ticket offer. And what I did was I set up to have webinar training. And that was my first foreclosure defense business model. And it was $3,500 to join. And then once you joined, we got on Zoom and we worked together in classes with everybody that joined. Well, that's what we're going to do, work together with classes, in conferences, to get the paperwork filled out, to answer questions that people had, and to do all that. Well, the way it worked out was only a couple of people were able to join because, well, and this is one of the things that I didn't really consider when I was doing this, which it wouldn't have mattered because I started this business to help people because of what I went through. But the problem is, most people, when you're facing foreclosure, you're struggling with your income. So not very many people were able to join. And the people that did join were making payments. And that wasn't a very good way to run things because the payments weren't always consistent. And, you know, that's the problem when you're trying to run a business. So the second thing that we did, was I tried selling the legal documents. And I had a website that had one page, and I had like 28 documents on the page and a write-up about each one. And it was very confusing. And people would go to the page and they would just get confused looking at all the documents. You know, I had documents for like family court, I had documents for state court, you know, different types of lawsuits, documents for third-party debt collection issues, and all kinds of things. So we decided to change that because that wasn't working very well. And I had too many documents on it. So I opened up a new site with just a few documents, and that was working pretty well, but it wasn't what I needed because I didn't have the document packages set up. And one of the things that I learned along the way was that it took more than one document or two documents. You know, I mean, as soon as someone answered in California, then I had to change it. We had another document to the package. So we then started setting up the packages with more than one document. We tried to put all of the documents that people would need from beginning to end in the package because we know that everyone's struggling with their income. So you're not going to be able to afford to buy individual documents to fight your foreclosure. Most people have a hard time paying for the package, even making two payments, you know. So we kind of changed that idea. One day I was doing some research on the non-judicial foreclosures and how that could be done. How could they do a non-judicial foreclosure without going to court, allowing you opportunity, like the Constitution mandates, to to fight for your property in court before they actually take it from you? And I did quite a bit of studying on this. And what I came up with was the non-judicial foreclosure process, and this is my opinion based off of not only the research, but helping people for the years that I've been helping people. The non-judicial foreclosure process was actually put on the books for attorneys to have an option to foreclose on a home when the people just packed up and left. And, you know, we're ignorant, so we don't know all that stuff. The attorneys finally started thinking, you know what, we can just keep using this. And so, yeah, so they did. So now they're using the non-judicial foreclosure where they take your property without even you have an opportunity to go to court on everybody. About over half of the states use a non-judicial. And you know what's really confusing is some states have both. And that's actually what tripped me up to do some extra homework to figure out how this could even be like it is because of the fact that some states had both. I've also included documents that you need to attack the attorney with sanctions. So what is going on right now? I know what's going on is not right. And I have been researching, trying to figure out where the holes are in their process and how to attack them. That's what my strategies are all about. Figuring out where the holes are and figuring out a strategy to attack those holes and get that on the court record. You know, I don't think that with the corruption that's going on and stuff, I don't think that anyone could think that you're going to go into court and have the judge rule in your favor, you know, because your paperwork's the best and we're just going to give you the house and everything. No, that's not the way. That's not what happened. What has happened in the past, in a few cases in Florida, the judge told the people to get out of his courtroom and work it out outside of court. And I think part of that was because of the issues that we discussed. You know, they don't really want to go on the record talking about what really goes on, because if everyone knew, then everyone would be filing the same paperwork and standing up for their rights instead of giving up. Okay. One of the main things that we found, and one of the main things that I found in doing this and changing my business model and trying to figure out what would be the best strategy that would provide value for homeowners that they would want to invest in. And we realized that homeowners are struggling to keep their heads above the water. And this is the reason why our lawsuit packages are priced so low. I also have 9 documents in the package because of the fact that homeowners are struggling and they really can't afford to buy individual documents. So we figure out what documents we need, and then we try to make sure that all of those documents are in the package. Like, for instance, the non-judicial foreclosure package has like 9 documents in it. I think I mentioned that earlier. It has the documents you need for the foreclosure. It has the restraining order. It has the documents for sanctions against attorneys. You have a motion to strike, because most of the time they file a motion to dismiss under Rule 12B for failure to state a claim, which is something they do automatically. So we have a motion to strike. And we also have the motions to address the eviction process. So as we learn and this evolves, we change the package to have the documents in that you need to address everything from top to bottom. Okay. I've been working to figure out a way to provide my foreclosure defense service to low-income or no-income families. And what I came up with is to use my YouTube channel to host ads that will generate enough income to help me operate my foreclosure defense business and provide services for anyone that has the courage to stand up and fight. Okay. The YouTube partnership program is really cool. To qualify for that program, I need to have 4,000 minutes of watch time on my videos and 1,000 subscribers. So I have the watch time already covered, but I don't have the subscribers that I need. Right now, I have 155 subscribers. So I'm 845 subscribers short to qualify to host ads on my YouTube channel. Once I qualify, I can provide services to people that subscribe first for a small donation or whatever the family can afford based on their income. My goal is to not turn anyone away that's willing to stand up and fight. So please, if you're watching this video or watching the interview that I hope to be going to in the next couple of weeks, please subscribe. Even if you're not facing foreclosure, okay? Because your subscription to my YouTube channel is going to help me get the 845 people that I need to be able to qualify to host ads. And when I can host ads on my channel, I'll be helping a lot of people save their house from foreclosure, okay? So tips. I mentioned that I wanted to go over tips. I like to leave at least 1 or 2 tips in each video for people to use. So we found out one of our members filed her lawsuit, and she called me to find out if she did a good job. And so I asked her, so what do you mean if you did a good job? I mean, you filed it. And she said, well, one of her friends told her to file it someplace else, and she did. And I was like, so where did you file it? So her friend told her that she should file a file stamp copy of the wrongful foreclosure lawsuit that she filed in federal court, she should take a file stamp copy of that lawsuit and file it in the county recorder's office next to the property deed. Yeah. Of course, I was like, dang, that's a great idea. I was thinking in my head. And the whole time I was thinking that, to be honest, I was also thinking, dang, why didn't I come up with that idea myself? But it was a great idea. And she asked me, so what did I do, Mr. Guy? Was that a good idea? I'm still thinking, dang. And I told her, yeah, dude, that was a great idea, because now that document is filed right next to the deed. It's going to cloud the title. And they won't be able to, or they shouldn't be able to, just like ignore your lawsuit and move forward with the sale and have the new buyer put people in the property and do all that. Okay. Originally, we were filing a restraining order to block that. But then we found out that sometime the federal court, takes a while to do anything, and they figure that in a couple of weeks they'll get the eviction process done, and then they can go ahead and start, I guess. So that's the new tip. We want to have everyone that's filing your wrongful foreclosure lawsuit to file a file stamp copy of it in the county recorder's office right next to the deed to the property. I would also provide a copy for the sheriff's department, whatever realtor that's trying to, or third-party investor that's trying to get your property. I would make sure they have a copy of it too. And there's a reason for that. Okay, when you provide constructive evidence to a third-party buyer or investor that's trying to buy your property, that there's a title dispute and that you're fighting, if they continue and evict you, you can actually sue the third-party buyer for wrongful eviction. And yes, that lawsuit is in the package. That's one of the things I forgot to mention, but yeah, that lawsuit is in the package, where you'll be able to sue the third-party buyer for a wrongful eviction if they kick you out. We used the wrongful foreclosure lawsuit filed in federal court to block the eviction process, because the eviction court can only rule on a title dispute. Eviction court can only rule on immediate possession and not a title dispute. Okay. My program is not for everyone. If you have fear and you can't do it scared, my program is not for you. I use unconventional strategies to help teach people how to take control of the situation, because the unconventional foreclosure defense strategies are not working. If you're ready to try the non-conventional foreclosure defense path, head over to my website at winincourtnow.com and make your investment and schedule a support session. In this session, we will review the areas of the lawsuit that you have highlighted to make sure you understand and answer any of your questions. Or you can just give me a call, Guy Neighbors, 913-240-0227. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you. Have a great day.